Welcome back, everyone, to WGI Voices. Today, we're going to hear from Lindsay Kusmierczak from Prosper High School in Texas. She's going to tell us how she deals with teaching in a COVID environment. Some wonderful tips here. Hope you enjoy it.
Hi, thank you, Dale, and thank you so much, Lindsay, for being here. So you are teaching at Prosper, and we're there when we went into shelter in place, and we talked about how you handled that and how you went forward into the summer and some of the things that you are implementing as we speak for your fall, which is a hybrid, but we're going to talk about some of the virtual things first. So one of the things that you mentioned, and I'd like you to talk about, is how you organize your schedule and which practices you will be using from what you learned both in the spring and summer sessions.
Just want to say thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to talk about this. I know that many of us have probably already started to try to do things virtually, and the biggest thing I've learned is that you have to have a little grace with both yourself and your students and the internet, because sometimes the connectivity is difficult. So we found that whenever we do our sectionals or rehearsal or class, it really benefits us to have one person leading and one person that is watching the class virtually. We are a Google school district, so we use Google Meet, and there are some difficulties with that. Just if you have a large group, you can't scroll across the screen to see those students. So sometimes we do use separate meets for different sections, and they work with different instructors individually. But we have found that by having someone actually instruct the class and teach the class, and then someone assisting and watching just the students that are virtual, it really helps to give those students feedback and answer any questions that they might have. And we know that sometimes it's difficult to see things virtually. So we've also found that a model where we have them attend class virtually, but also give them assignments to work separately outside of the virtual meeting has helped a lot. So what we have planned to do for this year is we have our students log into class every day. They start the class up with announcements with us. They do warm up, body warm up, and dance class with us. And then we split into usually equipment at that point in time. And the students that are virtual will go into an assignment that we've given to them. We recorded a ton of things in the spring when we had all that time to figure out how we wanted to create web-based instruction. So we made a lot of videos with exercises and technique and dance class and dance things that they needed to learn. So we're using those as assignments. So the students have work to do outside of the virtual meeting. And then we've also decided to make sure that they have a once a week, no longer than 30-minute session with a teacher or instructor, which is myself or my staff. We in Texas do private lessons that last 30 minutes. So it gives those students a chance to do one-on-one. They're still virtual, but it gives them the ability to ask questions, to work on something through the video. If they need to see like hand placements closer up, we can break things down a little bit more with them. And that has helped. And if they just have questions about, anything, we're there for them to be able to do that. So we ask them to schedule that time slot one time during the week. So we have some starting tomorrow with those students. And it could just be a 5-minute check-in to make sure that they are doing okay. And if they need us for anything, we're there to help them. It's just, I think, really important to have that one-on-one with those students to make sure that they don't fall behind, or make sure that they aren't feeling like they're stuck at home and they have no connection to anybody. I think that's really important. Then the last component is that we always do a squad-based system. So we break that larger group up into smaller groups. Our student leadership team leads a squad. And this year we decided to try to use a house system, kind of like Harry Potter, where they get to pick the color of their house, and they get to think of, what a word that embodies what they believe is, upholds the studiousness and, is something great to represent what their squad is. So we're trying to give them things to work on their own. If we have to go full virtual at some point in time, it allows us to still unite the group, even into smaller groups. So they have a student leader to speak to. They have a smaller group of people that they can connect with in the larger group. And then we're using that to also motivate. So if there's a student that's falling behind, they're not getting their points for their squad. So that way, they're affecting a larger group. It also teaches them that, so if they aren't doing their job, they're affecting the whole. It's not just about them. So we're trying to use kind of those things to model what we would normally do in person. And it's not perfect, and we're going to have to amend things along the way, but we're hoping that that is the thing that we can do to all those things to help our students out.
And you said that that house system was something that really worked well, even when you were online. Everybody was online virtually. So that's something that maybe people could reach out to you separately through me, and I'll give that information at the end if they have any other questions about that. That's great. And one other point that I just wanted you to clarify very quickly before we go on to the next thing is when you say that the instructors are team teaching, are they giving comments while the lead instructor is teaching? Are they giving comments, or is that how it's happening in the chat?
Yeah, it's kind of how we would normally just teach in person. So if we were teaching a dance class with a full group, the instructor's always kind of leading that and directing that. And we as a staff, we team teach all the time. So, it's not just one person, but it's all of us kind of working together. Obviously, we don't want to overwhelm the kids with comments. So we, limit to 1 or 2 things to think about, or we speak to individuals. So we kind of wait till that person that's instructing kind of finishes their whatever they're doing and maybe the comment that they have, and then we fill that space in if we need to. Yeah. And if a student, pops in and, is talking in the middle of when they're trying to do something and they just can't see, or they're having a hard time hearing, we'll, try to address that student, right away, but usually through a chat, or if we'll try to talk to them when there's a break in the space and time.
Great. This is also valuable. So even though there won't necessarily be a competitive season, how will you plan for it anyway? And how can this help with being able to promote the Guard for the Future? So you talked a little bit about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a big component in marching band and color guard and what we do is the performance part of it. And so we wanted to talk about what we could do to provide our students with the opportunity to perform, whether it's just for our community or for a larger setting. So we've thought of a couple things. In Texas, there's a great community of educators that have spoken about what they've talked about, what they want to do. One of our thoughts was maybe we go around the town of Prosper and find landmarks, and we spin our fight song routine to music. Maybe there's band members with us, but they're socially distanced, and we try to just make something that's for our community and for the kids, try to give them a project to work on. We've talked about trying to record something and then maybe put it on the Jumbotron during a football game. If we don't get to perform at halftime, is there a way that we could, put together a video of something that we could, or live stream something to the stadium so that the audience could see that socially distanced, but still includes us in that larger marching band halftime show performance. We've talked about maybe trying to do a video project where we choreograph something and put something together, but through those options, we've just tried to think about things that we could do to give them those performance opportunities. And then another part of that is, if we do make a video, how can we engage our school community? Are there other students that are looking for projects to work on? So is there somebody that's working in the CTE broadcast film department that needs to work on a video assignment that could help us edit what we're doing, so that we're not, because I'm not, not everybody knows how to use Final Cut and to make really great videos. So what could we do to engage our community or our band parents? Maybe there's a band booster parent that is really good at that. But I really like the idea of using our students, or not using, but collaborating with our students and our community to help with creating something. I think it just helps tie us together more, unifies the school, unifies our group and our students.
Wonderful. Wow. This has been just so illuminating, because, all of us are having to at some point teach online, and just a little tips and tricks of the trade. You also deal a little bit with Zoom too, and you have also used the breakout rooms there as well. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I'm finding a lot. There are some similarities, but it's really interesting to hear everybody's points of view. And and how some of them are different. I think that about covers it. And like I said, you know, for what we talked about, like I said, if anybody has any questions for Lindsay, they can email me and from the WGI website. So my email is there, and I will certainly get the information to Lindsay and collaborate that way as well. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.